Neurology is evolving fast, and it has been over the past 50 years. There are many different ways to show this. But even though neurology is evolving so fast, we still don't know so much about it, which leads us to the question, what is neurology? Neurology is the study of the brain, but there's more to it than just that. Neurology controls everything from our movement to our memory to our senses. The brain has 4 lobes and a cerebellum. The cerebellum is located in the back of the head in between the cerebrum and the brainstem. The cerebellum's main function is to help with our balance and our coordination. So if we are stumbling, our cerebellum tells us how to adjust ourselves. One of the major lobes is the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is located directly behind our foreheads. The frontal lobe's main function is to control our emotions and our behavior. The second lobe that we have is the parietal lobe. The parietal lobe is located on the top of your head. Our parietal lobe controls our touch and positioning. So if we are in the middle of a soccer field, we know it's the middle because of our parietal lobe. The third lobe that we have is the occipital lobe. The occipital lobe is the lobe that helps us see, and it is located in the back of our head. So if we get hit in the back of our head, our vision and sense of color might get impaired. The final lobe is the temporal lobe. The temporal lobe is the lobe that helps us hear and input sound so we can process it. This lobe is located on the bottom of our head, and so those are the 4 biggest lobes and what they do. Also, as stated by Dr. Melissa S. Chang about not getting a lobe confused with a ventricle, the ventricle is one of the main fluid-filled spaces in the brain. And the ventricle also doesn't help us think, that is the lobes. Surprisingly enough, a lot of famous people had neurological disorders. Like, for instance, Adolf Hitler, the person who started World War II, had Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is a disease that causes uncontrollable muscle movement or twitching. Parkinson's also messes with your balance and coordination. Another famous person with a neurological disorder was Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln had SCA5, which stands for Spinocerebellar Ataxia 5. SCA5 is a disease that affects the cerebellum. The symptoms include losing control of your hands, arms, and legs, and it also messes with your balance and coordination. Another person with a neurological disorder was Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne had epilepsy, which is where you have seizures. The frequency can vary from once a year to once a day. The final person with a neurological disorder was basketball player Chris Wright. Chris Wright had multiple sclerosis, which is where your immune system eats away at the protective part of your neurons. An interesting fact is that music can help cure the brain after an injury. Music can help cure the brain after an injury because the audio sounds really good, so it relaxes us. There are many studies to back up this claim. However, if the temporal lobe gets injured or disconnected from the flow of blood, your hearing will be impacted. If that happens, you will not be able to hear anything, or not that much, because the lobe controls the hearing, just like how the back of the head controls the vision. So if either of the lobes get blocked off, you will not be able to hear or see. However, if you listen to music that is too loud, it can negatively impact your hearing. There have been a lot of theories for the use of the brain. Some of the theories are crazy, some of them are reasonable. One of them is Aristotle. He thought that the brain was simply a radiator that cooled down the body. In 1848, a railroad worker got impaled in the head by a metal rod, and because of that, his personality changed. Because of this, the theory that humans had different regions in their brain that controlled different functions started. And finally, as mentioned earlier, neurology is evolving fast, and who knows how long it is until we can do crazy things like transplanting the brain.